Just a quick message. This clip you're about to watch on my Stop Retiring Wrong channel are my words and books and educational events, but they're filtered through AI. But I am real, and my clients and their issues are very real, and my research is not AI. And I want to be very transparent with you as you take advantage of this only psychotherapist curated tool available that intersects fulfillment and finances and reframes the second half of your life into something that truly our parents and our grandparents never could even have imagined. So congratulations.
What if the most dangerous moment of your life isn't when you're struggling to survive, but when you finally make it? No more work, no more deadlines, no more pressure, just freedom. Yet for millions of retirees in 2026, that freedom quietly turns into something unexpected. Not peace, but emptiness. Because when your schedule disappears, your identity disappears with it. And suddenly the question isn't, what will I do next? It's something far more unsettling. Who am I when nothing is asking anything from me? Transitioning into retirement in 2026 is no longer a simple act of stepping away from work. It is a full psychological and strategic transformation. For previous generations, retirement was often viewed as a clean break, a final exit from professional life followed by a slow descent into rest routine and routine leisure. But in 2026, that model is outdated. People are living longer, staying healthier, and remaining cognitively active well into their 70s and 80s. This means retirement is no longer an ending. It is a redesign, a reinvention of how time itself is structured. And perhaps the most important shift is this: you are no longer managed by an employer, a boss, or a schedule. You become, for the first time in your life, the CEO of your own time. That sounds liberating, but it is also disorienting. Because most people spend decades learning how to work inside a system, not how to design one from scratch. So the first year of retirement is not about relaxation alone. It is about tactical stabilization, emotional recalibration, and identity reconstruction. To navigate it successfully, retirees in 2026 are increasingly following a three-phase framework that blends financial strategy, psychological adaptation, and lifestyle engineering. The first 3 months of retirement are not for reinvention, they are for stabilization. Think of this phase as emergency systems check, not because something is wrong, but because everything has changed. The goal here is simple. Secure your foundation so your mind can stop worrying about survival systems and begin adjusting to freedom. The first and most critical layer is financial clarity. Even when retirement savings are strong, uncertainty creates stress, and stress prevents psychological transition. That is why retirees in 2026 are advised to finalize what is often called the healthcare bridge. Healthcare is one of the biggest unexpected stress points in retirement transitions. If you are under 65, this usually means confirming ACA marketplace coverage. But there is a critical detail many overlook: the subsidy structure. In recent adjustments reintroduced in late 2025, the subsidy cliff has returned in certain forms. This means even small increases in reported income, sometimes as little as $1 over a threshold, can significantly increase insurance premiums. For retirees, this creates a psychological trap: fear of accidentally triggering higher costs. That is why clarity matters more than optimization in this phase. For those 65 and older, Medicare becomes a foundation. But even here, changes matter. In 2026, standard Medicare Part B premiums have risen to approximately $202.90 per month, which requires recalibration of monthly withdrawal strategies. The point is not to panic. The point is to understand the system clearly enough that it stops creating background anxiety. Once healthcare stability is secured, attention shifts to liquidity, often referred to as the cash bucket strategy. This is one of the most important emotional stabilizers in early retirement. The idea is simple. move 12 to 24 months of living expenses into highly liquid, low-risk accounts such as high-yield savings or money market funds. Why? Because the greatest fear in early retirement is not long-term portfolio performance. It is short-term market timing risk. If markets drop in your first year and you are forced to sell investments to cover expenses, the psychological impact can be severe. This is known as sequence of returns risk, and it can permanently damage confidence even when long-term finances remain strong. The cash bucket eliminates that fear. It creates emotional breathing room. It tells your nervous system, you are safe. The final step in this phase is surprisingly overlooked, but psychologically powerful. What some call the digital handshake. This involves formally updating your professional identity. LinkedIn status becomes retired or consultant. Email signatures change. Professional networks are informed that availability is no longer structured around full-time work. This step may seem symbolic, but it is not. It sends a message not just to others, but to yourself. The work identity is complete. You are allowed to exit. Without this symbolic closure, many retirees continue to experience phantom work guilt, the feeling that they should still be responding, contributing, or staying involved. Phase 1 removes that pressure, not by abandoning identity, but by formally closing one chapter before opening another. If phase 1 is stabilization, phase 2 is decompression. This is where the emotional reality of retirement begins to surface. And surprisingly, this phase is where many retirees make their biggest mistake. They try to fill the silence too quickly. They join too many groups. They start too many projects. They volunteer aggressively. They overschedule freedom. But retirement is not just a new lifestyle. It is a neurological reset. After decades of high-pressure environments, the brain is often saturated with stress chemistry, particularly cortisol-based patterns of urgency, deadlines, and responsibility. So in the early months, the most important recommendation is something counterintuitive: selective laziness. Not permanent inactivity, but intentional recovery, a 90-day period where the nervous system is allowed to settle without performance pressure. During this time, the goal is not productivity. The goal is recalibration. After about 6 months, retirement often enters a second phase. The novelty fades. What feels like boredom often turns out to be something deeper: identity void pressure. Without deadlines or urgency, time suddenly feels visible again. The healthiest retirees do not respond with rigid schedules. Instead, they create rhythm. Retirement works best with rhythm, not rigid schedules. One day may focus on movement like walking or gardening, another on social connection, and another on learning or creativity. A powerful strategy is the one new skill rule. Learning something challenging, like a language or instrument, keeps the brain engaged and emotionally energized. Modern retirement also goes beyond money, emphasizing health, relationships, and contribution through mentoring or volunteering. The biggest shift is this: time becomes your new currency. Thriving retirees stop asking, "Is this productive?" and start asking, "Is this meaningful?" If you're drawn to powerful documentaries about psychology, identity, money, and the hidden truths of modern life, subscribe now, because this channel explores a side of success in retirement most people only understand when it's already too late.